Look, I can't control what anybody thinks about me or about my company. All I can do is try to work hard every day to present ourselves.
What's so unique about CMR Construction is the vast variety of talent and services that we actually have to provide in the commercial world.
He said this commercial business is going to lose money for the next 5 years.
I promise he has absolutely no money. He made business decisions over the last 3 to 5 years that he honestly thought were good business decisions. He didn't consult with anyone about those decisions. So when those of us in leadership found out about them, it was too late.
Okay, what am I doing? What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong?
If you're in the roofing industry, you have heard of CMR Construction. They have been around since 2002, and for years they have one of the best reputation in the business. According to CMR, their revenue was $186 million last year, and they had 1,000 employees. This is one of the most awarded and highly regarded firms in our industry. But we have spoken to CMR customers and employees who say the company is not being managed right. They owe money and they owe work, and it looks like the end of CMR could be coming. So today we are going to answer the question, what went wrong? To understand where they are today, we have to go back to the beginning. Steve Soleil started CMR after dropping out of college to sell roofs. In the early years, they were an all-residential, storm-chasing company based in Texas. After just 5 years in business, they made the Inc. 5000 list of the fastest-growing companies. According to Steve Soleil, it's around that time they started expanded into commercial.
If you're going to do retail work, what do you have to do? You have to write bids. What's the number one thing the storm guys don't like to do? Write bids. So they're right out of the gate. You have to completely flip your whole business model on and, change the paradigm. So, the first time we tried to do it, 13, 14 years ago, we just got absolutely slaughtered, right? Spent a bunch of money trying to build this retail thing. No idea what we're doing.
CMR really started to take off after Hurricane Irma in 2017, and we know this from talking to former CMR employees.
My office in 2016 did $5 million in a year. So from 2016 to the beginning of 2017, we did $5 million total that year. Once Irma hit and we were up and cranking, I was doing $5 million a week in revenue. So we completely exploded.
CMR kept doing well after a series of hurricanes hit the South. Their revenue went from $13 million in 2013 to over $100 million in 2018, and they started sponsoring NASCAR. 2019, CMR's residential sales were exploding. They were a $100 million company. Despite all of that, they were known for having great customer service. And you can see that in interview with 2 CMR sales managers from 2019.
Last year being that, his team 47 million, we did almost the same in referrals, as a company. And so that tells you that referrals, that's the moneymaker in this market. So treating the customers right, giving them clear expectations. In a hurricane, that's almost impossible.
Right.
You never know with tile, with shortages. And so that's where it's just clearly communicating and staying in communications. That's the key.
So they appreciate that you guys are being transparent, just taking care of them. It's going to take longer than just letting them know that you're there for them. You're handling that whole process, right?
Absolutely. And part of it is, no one's perfect.
Yeah.
And so, of course, there's going to be issues. And as long as you call and notify the customer of the issue or the delay, that goes a long way. Because the problem is you didn't notify them as a delay, then they call you. You didn't notify them again, there was a delay.
Yep.
That third time, they're going to want to kill you.
Yep.
Or cancel their contract.
Yep.
Kill the contract. So that's where just those simple, like, hey, Mr. Jones, I just wanted to let you know, it's beyond our control. We can't help that the tile has not arrived yet. But like that's 5 minutes of your day.
Right.
That could equal, $500,000 in revenue for you.
And that is not just to talk. CMR was the company everyone wanted to work for. By 2020, they had 500 employees. and everyone was making money.
I had just got out of college, looking for something lucrative to get into out here in Florida. I see, CMR roofing, some of these guys making, crazy amounts of money. It looks like a reputable company. Why not? So I started off there as a canvasser going door to door sourcing leads, eventually was promoted to sales representative. And yeah, I was able to sell, it was over 150 claims in 1 year, tile roofs.
So how did CMR leadership handle all this growth? This is the advice Steve Soleil gave to other growing companies on a podcast last year.
Number one, you got to figure out where your plateaus are, what your maximum capacity that you yourself or maybe your limited staff can handle. You also have to be really careful that you're not just throwing money at problems and not really getting solutions out of the spend. Pay your people and pay your suppliers first, and pay yourself and buy your toys last, right? Because that's what roofers love to do. They love to go and go buy a new truck, And
it's not a bad advice, but we know that by the time of that podcast, there already were big problems at CMR.
When it comes to your sales force, the first thing you do is you just pay them,
We have talked to multiple former CMR employees who say they stopped getting paid at some point in 2022.
We got these $500 draws for every roof, every claim we filed and sold. And then all of a sudden they say off the first check, we're going to get half our commission, okay? And then out of nowhere they're like, we're not paying you off the first check from the insurance company. You have to wait until the job is completed and all of your draws are paid back. And then I spoke to some other sales reps that had left before me, and they were getting screwed over left and right. Their commission was supposed to be X amount, and they were getting, a quarter of that.
A draw is an advance of future commissions. This is how it normally works at CMR.
When a rep leaves the company and they're not able to pay their draw back, for example, a guy has $50,000 in draw, he runs out of jobs. He has to pay it back. Makes total sense. But the fact of the matter is, that's not how it's going. We're prepaying that back with our commission, with our position at 100%, right?
Employees told us that CMR is manipulating the draw system by closing jobs out early. By doing that, they can avoid paying the sales rep.
A cap out is when we finish the job. We have collected 100% of the funds and the homeowner is satisfied with the job. Then the salespeople will put together a request to cap out the job. Let's close it out. And when we do that, they figure out whether we have a loss or a profit. And either way, whether we have a loss or we have a profit on that particular job, we split that with them 50-50. What's happening on some of these jobs, they're starting to do what they call force cap-outs before all the money is even collected. In my case, I had a big job coming up where I was going to get paid $20,000. Well, they saw that coming. So I was capped on about 6 jobs, and that took my draw balance to about $30,000 negative. Then when it came time to pay me the $20,000, they said, oh, by the way, we applied that towards your negative draw balance, so we're not paying you anything.
Employees also told us that by January or February 2023, CMR cut off from their suppliers.
Usually the death of a company is you don't pay your suppliers, you don't pay your sales reps, you don't pay your crews. They're already not paying most of the sales reps. The suppliers have been shut up basically 100%. And each week, they have to pay what little they do have to the crews.
On top of all of that mess, we know of at least 2 recent lawsuits accusing CMR of not paying up. The first case is from March 2023. An estimator sued CMR for more than $75,000 in unpaid salary and commissions. That case was eventually settled, and we don't know the terms of the settlement. The second lawsuit was filed in October. A company called Kramer Brothers hired CMR for a commercial project in Wisconsin. They are now accusing CMR for not doing the work and using the money for other purposes.
Kramer has suffered damages in an amount to be determined, which currently exceeds $580,000 and is expected to increase. Kramer paid the defendant approximately $1,460,992 on draw requests submitted by the defendant for labor, materials, equipment, and/or services performed under the subcontract. Upon information and belief, defendant used the funds received from Kramer for the second-tier claims for other purposes, in violation of Wisconsin statutes 779-025 and 895-446.
I mean, I never had a Steve Gillette's number until everything went south. So I got his number. I kind of talked to him. He said, "Yeah, I'm having some issues right now, but I'm gonna get you paid." And he's like, "Let's get a settlement." I said, "Okay, let's get a settlement. How much you want to pay?" And he said, "Well, I can give you 110 grand." And I was like, 110 grand is better than nothing, right? And I said,
what was
okay,
the total amount?
It was 180 grand. And then we came down to 110. And I told him, well, if we get to this agreement, I mean, you have to pay right away. So they sent lien releases for everything. And then I signed them off, sent them back. And 1 week, nothing. 2 weeks, I didn't get nothing. I keep calling these guys. Yeah, I was gone in July, and then I came back by the end of July before the kids went to school. And then I had a check for $30,000. That's all that I got from him. And I called him, and he's like, "Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get the rest." But I mean, it was like a 3 months period that I was waiting for my money after we got to the settlement. And after that, he never answered. I keep calling some other guys that I know are still with him, and they talk to him every day. They don't care. They just don't care. I mean, my lawyer is like, worst case scenario is like, there's so many people in front of you right now. Chances of getting your money, it's like slim.
It's not just employees or the suppliers who are having problems. As early as 2021, we found reviews from homeowners on an old CMR Facebook page complaining that they were waiting on work.
A note to Stephen Soul, CEO, and Carrie Rowland. Hi, Carrie. I have been trying to reach you. I've called CMR several times and left messages with your answering service, but you have yet to return my calls. CMR owes me a refund of $16,306, which has not been sent to me and is past due. After reading the 42 complaints on the BBB for this year, I see I am not alone in regard to being ghosted by CMR. I would really like to simply receive my refund rather than being just another unhappy customer on the BBB.
My name is Alvaro Fernandez, and I've been trying to communicate with someone in CMR. Any phone I tried takes me to an answering service that always asks for the same info and no answers for me. Need to know the schedule for my house's roof job, which has been paid 50%, and no one is responding to my calls or answering my emails or texts.
This company is a joke.
Crazy to me they let this place still operate.
Heard back from the BBB about our complaint that CMR took our money and never did any work. BBB has attempted to contact the business regarding the above-referenced complaint and has not received a response from the business.
There are even more better reviews on Indeed and peaceconsumer.com.
CMR took $12,000 from me to do my roof and never did the job. They are not answering my phone calls and emails.
This company is pure evil. Stay far away from CMR Construction and Roofing. They are a scam.
Truly a scam of a company. Do not fall for their advertising. Such a terrible company to work for. Still not sure their work is totally legal.
I was a sales associate for the company. They'll tell you you'll make a lot of money. What they don't tell you is that it can take months to years to collect commission. When that time comes, CMR does such a horrible job building the roof and mismanaging costs that it directly affects your commission. CMR will keep their cut and sacrifice yours to pay for all the damages they are responsible for.
We personally interviewed multiple homeowners who have hired CMR after the storms in 2021 or 2022 and waited over a year for their roofs to be finished.
CMR is horrible. They received my $23,000 insurance proceeds, tore off my roof, exposing the inside of my house to sunlight. There were nails driven through my ceilings, rotten wood covered with their underlayment, and other construction problems then. They ghosted me. I had no roof from October 27, 2022, until today when another roofer came on board and is just finishing the job. I am paying out of pocket for my roof. I hired an attorney to get out of my contract, and instead of any offer to return at least some of my money, they demanded $35,000 to release me from my contract with them. I don't know how these people sleep at night.
I signed a contract with him for $40,000 to replace my roof. And as I said, I'm very inexperienced in this type of renovation. So I did not demand the end date of the contract or any other information. The same day, he demanded $10,000. He said, "We're not going to start working. We need to buy materials," which surprised me a little bit. That was really weird. But I said, "Okay, that's fine. Whatever rules are rules. How do I know?" I gave him my check for $10,000, and he disappeared forever and ever. I was calling them. No one's picking up the phone. Eventually, they went through. They said, "Well, you know what? We have a shortage of workers. Florida got some kind of bill against illegal immigrants. We don't have any workers." Then they found another reason, then something else. They said the company who we ordered the material from, they don't have your color. And it was several months later. So eventually, I found the name of the company who produced the tile for my roof. I called them. They said, "Listen, we delivered your tile so-and-so months ago. It's in their backyard. It's there." But they said, "Make sure they're going to release the lien because it's on your name." So again, I'm calling their offices day by day by day.
I signed a contract with them in April of 2022. And it was after some back and forth negotiating, we agreed to a price. They didn't do anything until November of 22 when they came in and they put in the underlayment. I had asked them when can I expect tile. They said, "Oh, we have to have it in-house, otherwise we wouldn't put this underlayment on because it'd be too expensive for us to do it over again." So in November of 22, they put the underlayment on, and I've been waiting for tile since. Well, first they said, "Well, we'll have to find the tile, and it has to be on our property someplace." Well, I thought that was just a brush off. And so I finally called the supplier, and the supplier said, "We have no order." So I'm in limbo right here. I don't know what I'm going to do.
You might be wondering, if so many customers are having problems, why are we in the industry only hearing it now? Well, on their current Facebook page, CMR seems to be deleting negative comments. There are also no reviews on their Better Business Bureau page right now. We used the Wayback Machine to look at their profile from March 2023, and it shows an A+ rating. But there were 37 complaints in the last year, and a lot of Facebook comments mentions leaving negative reviews or complaints on the CMR's profile. We reached out to Better Business Bureau, and this is what they have told us.
We are reviewing complaints against the company at this time. When we are updating and reviewing a profile, the complaints and reviews are not visible because there could be information in the complaints and reviews that are the subject of the update.
BBB said that a review could be initiated by them or the business, so it's really not clear what is going on. And they could not tell us when update will be finished. Known BBB pay-to-play model, it's not surprising that fallen business who can pay BBB actually can remove all the bad complaints. Pretty shady practice if you think about it. Everything we just laid out is evidence that something is going wrong at CMR. Now it's time to answer the big question. Why is all of this happening? We reached out to CMR and Steve Soleil multiple times to get a comment, but there has been no response. Based on what former employees told us, CMR commercial division has been struggling. And to cover expenses, they borrowed money from the residential division.
The problem is Steve's ego and driving of the commercial department to use the residential funds to, bring on this commercial company. That was just a show. Overhead was way too high. They didn't know how to produce the job. They didn't know how to build a job. They didn't know how to bid on a job. And they paid extremely high salaries and everything else. And they basically just use the residential profit and deposits from these customers to float that company until finally, it fell apart. It was a domino effect. So, yes, CMR has plenty of work in the hopper, over $200 million in work. Let's just say 10 million. Every 100 million? Well, that's only 20 million. Well, they've already taken that in customer deposits and spent it. So no, the company can never make it out of this. It's impossible.
There's also the issue of CMR sponsorships, which includes NASCAR, NHRA drag racing, and P1 powerboat racing. I actually found out how expensive these were 6 months ago when someone told me CMR had defaulted on their payment. They were looking for someone who could take over the sponsorship for just $17,000 a race, but the normal price is $50,000. CMR employees we talked to said that NASCAR sponsorship never made sense on the residential side.
Our clientele is not NASCAR fans, not dragsters, they're not boaters. But that's not why he did it. His business plan for that is the people that do NASCAR. They're very wealthy. The people that do boating and dragsters, they're very wealthy. And so he's rubbing elbows with wealthy people and trying to promote his commercial business. So he tied it into residential has zero to do with residential. It was all about his commercial branding, and that's what he wanted. He got to rub elbows with that guy that used to be the CEO of FedEx. And, he's hanging out with all these rich guys and whatever. And then he would give away basically roofing for no money. Commercialized, just so he could get his foot in the door with these people. But there's where all your money went. You do that 1 or 2 times, you can't make that like that was his business plan. He said this commercial business is going to lose money for the next 5 years. It won't be profitable, but we're going to be okay. But that's only because the residential side is out there bringing in checks every week. But those checks, those go to homeowners. That's kind of the definition of misappropriation of funds.
Employees also said that Tiffany Snow, the former head of CMR Commercial, was part of the problem.
I had plenty of meetings, screaming match meetings with... At the time, it was Tiffany Snow who ran the commercial department. I was screaming, saying, "Stop, stop, stop! We can't make it! We need to shut this off! We need to combine forces!" And I was basically told to shut up.
Now, to be clear, we can't verify any of that. It's the opinion of those employees, but Tiffany Snow obviously disagrees. In Facebook comments, she said Steve Soleil made bad decisions on the residential side.
I promise he has absolutely no money. He made business decisions over the last 3 to 5 years that he honestly thought were good business decisions, and they caught up with him. The other error in judgment on his behalf was that he didn't consult with anyone about those decisions, so when those of us in leadership found out about them, it was too late. Most of the bad decisions were on the residential side of his business, which caused the whole ship to sink. I only worked the commercial side.
What we can say for sure is that Steve Soleil is responsible for making some bad decisions, no matter what side of the business they were on. And others maybe too. From everything we have heard, both on and off record, what brought CMR down is the same thing that brings down little contractors all the time. They lost the ability to look at the company clearly and let ego get in the way. If you start robbing Peter to pay Paul, it will all catch up to you at the end. But what makes CMR different is how big they are. These bad decisions are not affecting just 1 or 2 people. It's many employees not getting paid. It's thousands of homeowners waiting for their roofs to be replaced for a year after a hurricane. They trusted CMR with their insurance payouts, and now they can't get a response from anyone. We're talking about elderly people who may not have the money to hire lawyers. A lot of them might never get their money back. We hope that CRM can still make this right for everyone we talk to who is waiting on work or waiting to get refunded or paid. And hopefully, this can be a lesson for our industry what not to do. I personally wish CMR and Steve Soleil best of luck. I hope that they will get out of this hole. I have no emotions, no hate. For this story, I just wanted to be a reporter. Their ex and current employees came to me as a group and asked to remain anonymous. People who still work at CMR really worry about the situation, worry about the customers, worry about the paychecks for the sales reps. Obviously, company is in big trouble and we don't want to hurt it, but we want to help as many people as possible who are still considering to hire CMR. We have talked to people who worked there for many years and actually resigned within the last 12 months because they have seen where the company is going. Tiffany Snow is no longer with the company. Steve Solis is trying to get out of it, but is it right strategy to keep selling jobs to pay off all debt? If what we heard is true, they're in a big hole, anywhere from $20 to $50 million. It will take years to get out of it. Again, we wish them the best. Guys, comment below what you think about this story. I know even by running it, I already start getting a lot of haters and a lot of negative comments. My job here at Roofing Insights is to learn from the best examples and from failures. We all learn from them one way or another. Comment away, we read all our comments. Thank you so much for watching. Give this video a like if you enjoy this content, and I'll see you in the next video.